Said it's all third-hand information, nothing direct at all. It can't be direct because I never said it. And all they have to do is look very, very simply at the transcript. If you read the transcript, this was analyzed by great lawyers. This was...
All right. Let's talk about it. Haven't done a video, well, I haven't been doing many videos recently to begin with, but certainly haven't done any videos regarding what's going on in the USA. You know, I watched part of the impeachment hearing yesterday, and I'm going to finish it up today. Hold on, I'm just trying to search something here. So I watched part of the impeachment hearing yesterday, and from what I watched, I was watching the beginning, and then I had to do something and had to come back to it, so it had skipped ahead, but I was pretty consistently watching it. It was it was a fucking joke, right? I mean, it's not only a joke. I guess what was most disturbing to me is just when I start thinking about the waste of time and the waste of money, the waste of resources, how it affects the world. Because if you watched any of it, I'm sure that you could agree that, like myself, it seemed to me that it wasn't an impeachment hearing. It was just a big pissing match. Politicians, just a big pissing match. And one side was basically saying, we miss President Obama. And the other side was, defending our current president, who in my opinion, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, if you listen to the phone call, if you read the transcript of the phone call, there's nothing, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, you could twist anybody's words, and you could overanalyze what somebody says and look deeper into it and ask questions. Well, did that mean this? Did that mean that? I mean, we can say that stuff all day long, but the bare bones of it is he didn't do what the Democrats are claiming he did here. This fucking Democrat Party, I remember saying a while back, well, quite a while back, I guess now, I remember saying this fucking Republican Party. And now I'm saying this fucking Democrat Party. When President Obama was elected, I don't remember who it was a Republican Congress member, said that our job for the next 4 years is to make sure that he doesn't get another 4 years. Make sure his administration fails. And that really pissed me off, because that's not your job. As a Congress member, your job is to represent your constituents. Yeah, let that sink in for a few minutes. Your job as a congressman is to represent your constituents. So when you come out and say, whether you're Republican or Democrat, and you come out and say, well, I feel my job for the next 4 years is to make sure the president fails, you're not doing your job. And you should be relieved of your duty. Okay? You should be fired. And in some cases that happened. In many cases it didn't. The long story short of it was that, the Republicans were able to find a way to work with President Obama, even though they disagreed with him on basic policy. Again, like I said in another video not long ago, or maybe it was in a comment somewhere, if you really want to see all of these Congress members for what they are, go into YouTube and search. I want to say it was the very first State of the Union Obama gave. It may not have been, but it was one of the State of the Unions that Obama made, so you can find it. And they had random seating in Congress, okay? Normally one side sits on the right, one side sits on the left. This time they had random seating for everyone. And when President Obama gave his State of the Union address, nobody knew when they were supposed to stand or supposed to clap. It was the most awkward fucking State of the Union as far as the crowd goes, probably in the history of the United States. But it sent a very clear message that half the time these members of Congress don't even know what the fuck they stand for. Whether it be Republican or Democrat. And of course, the Republicans were all pissed off after that State of the Union. Oh, it was just stupid to have them sit in random seating. Well, no, it wasn't. It might have been stupid because so many people were embarrassed, but it should have sent a clear message to, if you don't know, if you're too stressed out that, hey, if I stand and clap for this because I support it, my Republican friends, or I'm a Republican, and if I stand and clap for this, my Republican friends, they may not like me anymore, Go back and look it up. That's what I'll say about that. Getting back to the impeachment inquiry. And again, it may have been, I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit, but it may have been President Obama's first State of the Union. They had random seating, but I'm sure you can find it. And I'm sure it's on YouTube. I'll try to dig it up and put a link in the description. But back to the impeachment inquiry. I mean, it's such a waste of fucking time. And I watched the Republicans be pissed off for a matter of, months or maybe a year when President Obama was elected. But I've never seen something like this. And I don't know if anything like this has ever happened. Because, when you look back in history, you find out that, hey, this shit's been going on since the fucking beginning of time. But this Democrat Party has got to be the sorest losers you would think of all time. But again, maybe it's happened before. I don't know. But they're led by Nancy Pelosi, who just can't fucking stand the fact that President Trump was elected. And more so, can't fucking stand that he's actually doing a pretty fucking decent job in a lot of things. Not everything. I don't agree with him on everything. Just the other day, I catch his comments from when he's, leaving or getting on a helicopter and stuff like that. And every time he seems to open up with, the economy's doing great. And every time I hear him say that, I say, just because you keep saying that doesn't make it true. Because the economy's doing great for certain people. It's not doing great. It hasn't reached the middle class. It hasn't reached what you might call a local level, which is the middle class. I hope it does, but that'll remain to be seen. Overall, I think President Trump's doing a pretty good job. I think he's doing an excellent job with working on trade with China and all that, because, man, we could be, the tariffs and taxes we collect from China and trade could very possibly maybe pay for health care for everyone, Those are kind of my thinking on it, is that, it's not going to do anything but make the United States great. These impeachment hearings are fucking things up like this, because when the Democrats go to this extent, which nothing's going to come of this, okay? This is a big fucking waste of time. Even if they were to impeach him, okay? What do you think's going to happen? I was alive. I was in my prime when they impeached Bill Clinton. What happened? So even if they were to impeach President Trump, what do you think's going to come of it? Other than fucking up a whole bunch of things all over the world. Do you guys understand that countries, and I'm looking at a world map when I say this stuff, countries all over the world, every country depends on how well the United States is doing. Their day-to-day, in some instances, depends on how well the United States is doing. Every fucking country. So if the United States is in turmoil, what do you think is going to happen to these other countries? You Democrats claim you care so much about people. Well, what do you think is going to happen to these fucking, all these people that live in extremely impoverished countries? Just saying, Democrats seem to always want to make it clear that they care so much about people. These impeachment hearings, inquiry hearings are doing nothing good for the world economy. I mean, now it's like you've just basically stopped fucking talks with China. China is getting ready to make a deal with the United States, over trade. Why would they fucking continue on when the Democrats are holding these ridiculous impeachment hearings? Even though China knows as well as we all know that nothing's going to come of this, and it's just a waste of fucking time. In the meantime, China said, fuck it, we're just going to wait until the impeachment hearings. Why wouldn't they, right? I can only hope that President Trump hits them with more tariffs, if that's going to be their stance. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's a fucking pissing match. It's a our leader, you're very fucking likely your congressman is wasting your fucking time right now. Wasting your fucking hard-earned tax dollars that you give out. And, they kept mentioning the Obama administration, and that's why I said, that's why I said the one side, it just seems like, they keep, we miss President Obama. You wouldn't believe how many times they brought up the Obama. During the Obama administration, we miss, but we miss President Obama. This president, I mean, on the other hand, the Democrats are doing a huge favor for President Trump as far as his re-election campaign goes. Because the oppression that's coming with this impeachment inquiry hearing plays well with minorities. It's doing President Trump a huge fucking favor. Okay? I think a lot of people that, comment on my channel, they think a little bit harder about politics than a lot of people. Maybe not. But I do know that the whole impeachment inquiry hearings is going to play well with minorities and the oppression of minorities. So, actually, it's doing President Trump a huge favor as far as the re-election campaign goes. And you know what? Here's the bare bones of it. Whether you like the guy or not, I've said many times, I think he's a fucking douche. He seems to be, now I don't know the guy personally, I haven't known the guy for 20 years or whatever, but from what I can see, he seems like a douche of a fucking person. But the thing of it is, as a president, his priorities seem to be more aligned with the priorities of the middle class people than they are with the rich. During the Obama administration, it was like everybody, it just seemed there was a huge clear line that was crossed when President Trump was elected, and that line was, during the Obama administration, it was kind of like, hey, everybody put your head down. Times are different now in America. It's just, this is the way it's going to be. And, the United States isn't going to be the superpower it always was. And you're not going to do as well as your parents did. And people just aren't going to make the money they used to make. And you're just going to have to get used to America being a second-class America. And although we all knew that was bullshit, I mean, it was the vibe of the Obama administration. And when President Trump took office, boy, did that change. You know, all of a sudden I saw people proud to be an American again, you know? And it was like people were ready to say, fuck this, man. We're Americans. We're from the United States. We're the fucking best. We're the number one country in the world. You know, we should all thank our stars above that we live here. And I saw patriotism again, and I love it because, you know, when I was growing up, that's, you know, everybody was proud. Even when we got involved with, well, first of all, you know, terrorists attacked our country, but we got involved with Afghanistan. But then even when we got involved with the Iraq War, which all of us knew was wrong, and as a matter of fact, I mean, I'll say it right here, President Bush should be in prison right now. Our former president, George W. Bush, he should be in prison, period. But even that, with the American public knowing that, we, you know, when we found out that we went into Iraq, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and the president knew it, the whole government knew it going into it. We found that out. Everyone still supported the troops. Everybody supported our troops and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't like the Vietnam times where, you know, that was a little bit before my time. But I heard the stories of guys coming back to the United States in uniform and being spit on and everything else, and just being treated fucking horrible after serving your country in wartime, you know. You know, it wasn't that, and that's kind of, you know, how I grew up. It was, you know, everybody was proud to be an American, you know, and I saw that come back with the election of President Trump, and I like that a lot. And you know what? I mean, for years, everybody's been saying this fucking NAFTA thing fucked us bad, you know, and even Obama said it was terrible, yet he didn't do anything about it, you know. And this president's doing something about it. And all of a sudden, the same people who said it was terrible can't stand the fact that this president is making an effort to correct massive mistakes that the United States government has made in the past. Half the people that claim they don't like President Trump don't even know why they don't like him. So, I had to talk about it. That's my thoughts, not yours. You know, it's a fucking joke, but it's serious business too, because it doesn't just affect, you know, these Democrats doing this stuff they're Nancy Pelosi and Shifty Schiff, you know, they have this vendetta, and the Democrats have this vendetta against, a president who was rightfully elected in this country, and they just can't let it go. They cannot fucking get to work on the things they should be getting to work on. They can't they're just hyper-focused on how can we get rid of this president because we don't like him. We don't know why we don't like him, but how can we get rid of him? So it's, like I said, it's a fucking joke, but at the same time it's serious business because it affects the whole entire world. Doesn't just affect us, it affects the entire fucking world, because the entire world is dependent on how well the United States economy is doing. So, you know, these Democrats ought to think about what the fallout of all this is going to be, you know, and they really should think about it before they act like this, because this is just, you know, entertainment, I guess, for the Democrat Party and Democrats alike in the country. I guess this is how they're going to entertain themselves. You know, in the meantime, all we can hope is that the president keeps getting the good work done that he's doing, and so that he can move on to even better things. And because, like I've said many times in the past, there's just so many things that our government could be focused on changing for the better for us, and in the meantime, none of that's getting done right now. You know, I mean, the president can only do what he does. Congress members need to do their job, you know, in order for our country to move forward, and in order to represent us, the constituents. That's how we get things done. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, that need to change, and there's things that I really believe that, unfortunately, there's things even that I say unfortunately I think our government has to get involved in, such as healthcare. You know, I really think that, I think it's unfortunate, but I think the government's going to have to get involved in healthcare in one way or another. Not that they haven't been already, but obviously what their prior efforts were and are a complete fucking disaster. Ruined shit for a lot of people. Really, really screwed things up for a lot of people. And a lot of those people had stellar insurance before the ACA was passed. And then after it was passed, all of a sudden you get a letter in the mail. Guess what? You have a $12,000 deductible now. What? You know, meaning your insurance doesn't even kick in until you kick out 12 grand out of your own pocket. I don't know if 12 grand's on the high end, but I've heard 4,000, 5,000 very often. So, you know, I think the government, you're already involved in healthcare, so you might as well keep on moving forward and correct it. Make it right. And like I say, you know, we start, you know, imagine if NAFTA hadn't passed, how wealthy the United States would be at this point if NAFTA hadn't passed. So, you know, things like correcting NAFTA are going to bring money into this country that could